The chart I have here is the Aditya Lunar New Year chart for 2025. That started on January 29th, 2025 at 7:35:59 Washington, D.C. If you want to calculate this chart for your own country, you just need to make sure you get the exact Sun-Moon conjunction at the capital of your country, okay? I'm doing it for Washington, D.C., which represents the United States during this next year, until sometime in February of 2026 when we go into the next Aditya Lunar New Year, okay? I haven't really spent time doing these type of predictions with, year charts and so on, simply due to lack of time. But the reality is we're living in very scary times, as everyone's aware of. And the news is having a lot of fun, posting so many exciting things and trying to draw us to their advertisements, But for the rest of us, it's very stressful to see and hear about the possibilities and everything they are saying. So I thought I needed to spend a little more time on these charts. Also, as part of the Trump cabinet, the cabinet only has the power to do what's in these charts, in the inauguration chart, in the New Year chart. Okay, we're going to have 4 New Year charts during the Trump era. Okay, and each of those years is going to be different. One year things might go well, another years they might go backwards. And what Trump and his buddies will be able to do is really depending on these charts to a great degree. Okay, so these charts are always extremely important to examine. There's different ways astrologers calculate year charts. I'm going to use the Aditya New Year because that's my thing these days. And so this is what we're going to do. Okay, so we have the Sun, Moon, and Mercury all in Parjanya ascendant. So now Parjanya came up in the inauguration chart. It's always the 10th in the U.S. inauguration chart. Here it's the ascendant. It's only 8 days after the inauguration chart was the Lunar New Year. So the chart positions are very, very similar. Only Moon and Mercury are in different positions. Otherwise, it's basically the same chart as the inauguration chart. And what that means is we get the same great Jupiter and we get the same, troubled Venus. Okay? So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the great Jupiter. That's the good news. That's the best news. When you get a strong Jupiter, and Jupiter loves being in Varuna Aditya, and it's on an angle or trine, it helps protect things. It keeps things safe. It gives an element of fortune and good flowing to that chart. So we're fortunate that it's in a trine. Also, you don't see it here, but not only is Jupiter here in a trine, but the 4th Bhava cusp is also falling in Varuna. So Jupiter is also on an angular cusp. So this is a lucky Jupiter for us. Okay? The planet that represents Varuna, the deity that Varuna operates through the planet Moon, and the Moon is sitting nice in Parjanya. Moon likes being there. Okay? So it's a decent place for him. So the Moon is better than he was in the inauguration chart, which is good. We have a good Jupiter this year. So that Jupiter's going to make America luckier than a large part of the rest of the world during this time, because all the countries in the world, the Lunar New Year is the same everywhere. The planets are going to be in the exact same position. The only difference is what the ascendant is and what houses are where, what Aditya is on what house. But the planets are going to be in the same place. Okay? So we're lucky that in the United States that Jupiter is in a trine house and it's, conjunct the 4th cusp. Okay? Some countries might be more fortunate where it's actually angular to the ascendant and on a good cusp. Okay? Or in the ascendant. Countries where Jupiter's in, the 6th house, the 3rd house, even the 11th house, that Jupiter will not be able to be as helpful. Okay, so it depends what else is going on, how helpful that Jupiter is going to be. We're going to be more helpful that Jupiter is more helpful to the United States than average. That shows that during this time, real estate will be a benefit. Real estate's a good investment. Yeah, sadly, houses are going up. That's also indicated by Mars, who represents real estate, is sitting in the 6th house, which is a house of increase. Okay, so we can expect increased prices in real estate. Okay, all in all during this year. Also, Jupiter down on the 4th house cusp is going to be prosperous for things that come out of the earth, so natural resources, and it's also going to be good for gold and silver, metals basically. And it's also indicated by Mars in the 6th house, in Indra, where Mars is very, very happy. I know that gold took a fall recently, but you're going to see throughout this year, I expect gold to be a better investment than other things. That's the good news. All right. Also, Jupiter is going to help with the mental health of America. Okay. I think, you know, again, we have a Parjanya ascendant. We have the sun there. The sun likes being there. That's going to help with the health of the United States, with the people of the United States. Okay. The 5th is also the children of the country, which is all of us. Jupiter there is nice. We're going to benefit. We're going to do better. We're going to get healthier. Okay. Where the problem stuff, and Mars too, let me talk about the great things. Mars in the 6th is great, especially when it's in a good placement like it is now. It doesn't have a strong aspect of Mercury. It's in an Aditya it loves to be in. Mars is the general that serves the king, that serves Indra. He's a Kshatriya. Indra is a Kshatriya, you know, he's a warrior. And Mars, Kshatriya means warrior for those who don't know. And so this Mars is going to help, you know, fix problems in America to the degree that it's able to. And it's a good Mars. So this Mars is really in our favor. When there's problems, good malefics in 3, 6, and 11 help you fix the problems. And so this is a nice thing for Mars. Okay? The problems we have is, first of all, Mercury. We have a horrible Mercury. It's not the worst planet. You already know what that one is. We have a not a great Mercury. Mercury starved by the moon. Okay? And it's in Parjanya, where Mercury, you know, that's the rain. That's the god of rain. Mercury doesn't like to get rained on. He can't use his senses. He can't see clearly. So this Mercury is making emotional decisions, especially due to the starvation of the moon, more than it's making educated, investigative, trial and error decisions. It's going to be making emotional decisions. This is going to cause problems. All countries are going to be doing this. We live this year, countries are making emotional decisions, unfortunately. Okay? More so than they should. Some countries will make worse emotional decisions than others depending on where that Mercury is falling. Okay? Some of those emotional decisions will revolve around the health of the United States and not be smart things for the health, not see the whole picture, not see the full, not playing with the full deck. That's what Moon Mercury is. You don't investigate everything. You don't get all the information. You make an emotional decision. Okay? Some planets are good at making emotional decisions. Mercury is not for that. So I don't like this Mercury. This Mercury is also going to cause harm in foreign relations. It's too much emotional stuff. It's not sensible enough. This Mercury is a Vaishya. He rules the market. This Mercury is going to damage the market this year. This has already started happening. If some of you are thinking, oh good, it's going to come back, it's not coming back this year. This Mercury is the reason the stock market's gone down, and this is in the year chart. It's just not this little thing that's happening. This year we can't expect a good market. Okay? Then, on top of that we have Venus. Venus is a very important planet in this chart for the wealth, and of course it's in the 2nd house with Saturn, which is wealth, and it's resources. It's how much you have to work with, how much money you have to work with that's liquidable, that you can use, how much resources the nation has. And Venus is there, it's tapped out. The reality is the United States is tapped out. Trump is trying to cut taxes on one hand, but how does he get the money to provide for that? It's like tapped out. And Ketu over there in the 8th, which is other people's money, is got all these ideas of how to get money from other countries, because in these type of charts, the 8th house is money of other countries. Okay? So this 8th house has got Ketu there, but Venus is in hard shape in the 2nd house. And what that lets us know is that we're not going to be getting money from other countries. We got this Saturn and Venus destroying the Rahu-Ketu axis. Okay, we got a starved Venus, a shamed Venus on the Rahu-Ketu axis, only 4 degrees away. So Ketu's damaged, Rahu's damaged. There is no money to get from other countries. They're tapped out too. That's what this Venus is saying. The whole world is tapped out. Okay, the whole world, as far as the United States is concerned, all the places they could get money, it's tapped out. Some other countries might have different, 2nd, 8th houses and be able to tap into financial supplies with other countries, but the United States is not one of them. So we have a huge resource problem this year. We don't have the financial resources to get the job done. That's the problem. Okay? Things need to be done, and there's simply not enough to take care of it. There's energy to take care of it with the Mars. People will be making progress, but it's like one of those things. When you have resources and energy and a strategy, you can do good. Okay? But if you don't have resources, you can't do as good. It takes longer. So even if you figure out a way to make lots of money, if you don't have the resources to build your foundation quickly, it's going to take longer to make all that money. That's the problem. We don't have the resources to solve the financial problems this year. Okay? This Venus is also, shamed. It's with Rahu, which rules foreign places. It's a diplomatic disaster in many regards. We luckily have the Jupiter going on, but of the 3 benefics, we got Mercury and Venus, not so good. Jupiter, good. So we have 1 good benefic, 2 bad benefics. Okay? So that means a lot of things are not going to work out this year. Okay? Because for more things to work out, we need 2 of the 3 benefics. It's a simple way to do it. We got 1 out of 3 benefics doing a good job. That's not enough. Okay? Mercury and Moon, when it's on an angle, creates lots of fear and anxiety. The United States is going to suffer a lot of fear and anxiety, okay, during this year. Foreign relations will not be good. The stock market, I don't think, is going to come back, not with this Venus, not with this Mercury. And there's not any money for the United States to really get from other countries in a major way, that's going to make the difference to the United States' resource base. So we're in a bit of a quandary on a financial level during this year. Okay, it's not going to be this bad financially the rest of the year. So the stock market will recover, but it's not going to happen this year. Okay. One of the things I looked very closely at, because the most pressing thing, of course, is we have a problem. And the problem is, if you go to the Aditya Lunar New Year of when Ukraine and Russia went to war, you'll see that the sun was in Parjanya Aditya. Whenever you see in the ascendant, whenever you see the sun in Parjanya Aditya in the 1st house, a country has to deal with enemies. So the United States is dealing with enemies this year. We're going to be dealing with enemies this year. In the 2022, when Russia and Ukraine got back into it in a very heavy way, there was a lot of really war factors going on. Everything was lining up for those 2 countries. They both had this ascendant. But when you see Parjanya in the 1st house with the sun, the country is dealing with enemies. Okay? And if you then throw Mercury in there, those are going to be foreign enemies. Okay? And if you then get Venus involved, then you're going to get war. Okay? Because it's complex, but Venus is very inclined towards war for Parjanya ascendant. Okay? Luckily, Venus isn't involved. Venus is not making the connections. And so I think the United States is going to be dealing with enemies, but I don't expect any major war type activities this year. I think where Venus is at, it could be worse from the context of war. If Venus was in the first house, if Venus was in the seventh house, oh, we'd really be in trouble then. If Venus was in the fourth or 10th, any of those places, if it had been in an angle, or if it had been, shaming Jupiter or starving Jupiter, that would have indicated a very strong chance of going to war. And I would say we're going to war this year. As it is, it's scary. The United States is going to be dealing with enemies. And with that Venus, with Saturn, there's going to be a secret war going on. Okay? So that, and I think a secret war, what's a secret war? That's when you're preparing for war because you know the possibility is great. And secretly, there's a lot of stuff going on to make you in as good a place as position for when the war starts. So it's like jockeying for position. That's what this Venus is indicating. But it's not in the right place or not in the wrong place, I think, to actually cause the United States to have any major war stuff going on. We're escaping that by a hair's breadth this year. Okay? Mars in the 6th too. When it goes to war, it has a lot of force, especially when it's in Indra. So that Mars can, if we went to war, would really give the United States a favor. But I don't think we're going to. I think that Venus is not in the place to get us involved. Okay? Venus in the 2nd is going to keep the United States too focused on their own problems. It's going to keep the United States not having the resources that they're going to really feel like going to war. It's not going to be financially advantageous enough where that Venus is. Okay? And it's not going to feel dangerous enough to the United States to go to war. And that Venus was in one of the angles, things would feel dangerous enough to the United States for them to go to war. But it's not. Okay? So we're going to be okay because Venus is not pulling the trigger, let's say. But the United States is going to be dealing with a lot of enemies. There's going to be a secret war going on. Now we probably won't even know a lot about. We'll know something, but everyone's jockeying position. People will be getting ready for war, setting a foundation for war that could happen in the future. Okay? But we're lucky. Jupiter makes us lucky. That Jupiter is really well placed. It's going to, and actually, even amongst the problems we're going to have in the United States, that Jupiter is going to make us get through in good enough way that we won't remember this year as the worst year on Earth. Okay, right now, you watch the news and you hear people's reactions. It seems like this could be one of the worst years in American history, No, it's not going to be. That Jupiter is going to prevent that. It's going to be a troubled year in history throughout the world because we've got one functioning benefic and two benefics not doing a good job. So the world is not going to be able to move into a more beneficial place in a major way. There's not enough resources with the Venus. Diplomatic relationships are falling apart with that Venus. People are making emotional decisions. People are fed up. People want something that works. They don't have the Mercury to figure out a solution. Venus is not caring enough about other people to, come up with long-term solutions, because long-term solutions include other people. In our lives, our personal lives, any long-term solutions include other people, the people in our lives. If it's not a long-term solution for them, it's not a long-term solution for us, right? Same with countries. If something seems like a long-term solution to one country, but it's not a long-term solution to another, it's not a long-term solution. So if you go in and invade a country and take all their resources, and you think that's a long-term, resolution, it's not, because the other country is not a good resolution for them. It's just a matter of time for they're going to cause troubles, they're going to rebel, they're going to find a way, and your solution is going to disappear. That's the problem with this Venus. It's not capable of seeing the long-term solutions. A lot of things that our people, countries will be doing throughout this period, throughout this year, is wherever this Venus is falling, there's a major problem. Here, it's in the house of wealth. Okay? And they want to, they want to solve that problem, yet Venus is not capable of figuring out a long-term solution. In another country, this Venus might be another house. That's the house that that country is struggling to find a long-term solution, and any solutions they find are not going to be long-term. They're going to turn out to have been solutions they shouldn't have taken. So unfortunately, in this year, the United States will make long-term resolutions that are going to not turn out to be okay. Okay, they're going to cause us more trouble than expected and not give the help they offer. That's really one of the biggest problems, and it's really with that Venus there, with that Rahu there. The problem the United States is facing is the financial trouble. That's a big part of what's going on in this year, financial problems. Things will be motivated to resolve financial problems, okay? And we don't have the Venus to come up with a good resolution, okay? There's no one there who knows how to come up with something that's going to be a long-term solution because it works with other countries in a long-term way, okay? But I still think Jupiter is going to keep us out of trouble. That Venus is in a horrible place, but it's not in the place that I think will create war in any major way. So that was refreshing to see. Because the Sun and the Mercury in Parjanya, when you see that in the ascendant, there's a good chance for war. If other factors are there, we're missing a factor. The other factor, of course, is Mars. Mars is actually aspecting the ascendant strongly. But it's escaping it enough that I think we're going to be okay. All right? One of the interesting things that's going on during this year, Mercury, which is the planet of education, is in bad shape. It's drowning, Yet Jupiter is in the fifth, and the fifth house is the house of, one type of education. Fifth house is the house of education, of educating yourself along your natural lines. Okay? So one thing we'll see happening during this year is more emphasis being placed on people educating themselves along where they're inspired, rather than being educated in a systematic way, which is Mercury. Okay? Mercury is that systematic education of learning the things you need to learn so you can go about and figure out your life. Okay? But Jupiter is the education that we go and learn because we're inspired to. So as we all find the teacher that we have a calling for versus showing up to learn our basics. So I think a lot of families are going to go to an educational shift this year of paying more attention to what their children's needs are. Okay, meaning what their needs are based on what they're inspired to, what their natural intelligences are, what they have to offer that's truly good within themselves. Okay, so I like that Jupiter, for sure. Okay, the United States is trying not to spend money, but the reality is during this year with that Saturn there, which is expense, and Saturn does not like being in this Data Aditya, the United States is not going to be able to manage their expenses. They're going to spend more than they pull in, okay? Trump's whole goal is to spend less than he pulls in. It's not going to happen this year. United States government, yeah, they've got the Dodge, and they're trying to cut back expenses, but still, the United States government this year is going to spend more than they pull in, okay? So our debt problem is not going to be resolved during this year because of that Saturn position, okay? And desperate acts of shaming Venus, which are not long-term solutions, are not going to help. They're going to hurt in the long term. So those are the major things I see going on. Where I see increases, where I see decreases, and most importantly, I think, is that I think we're going to escape, war engagement this year. And hopefully that'll continue during the remaining years. But this year, we are lucking out, I think. Okay, thank you.